All right, so today let's dive into Bangkok's luxury condo market, specifically the Asoke area.
Okay.
We found this really fascinating blog post from Ocean Worldwide, a luxury real estate agency.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, they're focused on, well, I guess, luxury residential real estate in Phuket.
Ooh, Phuket.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
you know, they're always very particular about saying Phuket, not Phuket.
Oh, right, Phuket.
Yeah, and their blog. It's packed with insights into the Asoke market, talking about rental yields, tenant preferences, everything you could possibly think of, all the stuff that makes a property stand out.
So they cover the Bangkok market as well as Phuket.
Yeah, they do.
Interesting.
Really fascinating stuff. And we're really going to try to unpack all of this today.
Okay, sounds good.
Also, the director, Sandra O'Neill, she's got like decades of experience helping investors navigate this market.
Okay.
So we're hoping to use their insights to basically figure out how to think like an investor in this market, an investor that really wants to maximize their rental income.
So before we get into the specifics of Asoke, I thought it was really interesting how the article really breaks down this whole concept of rental yield,
Oh, yeah.
something that I think any potential investor should understand.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a term that gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
But maybe not everyone knows exactly what it means.
Exactly.
So can you give us a quick rundown of that, like what it means, why it's so important for anyone looking at property investment?
Of course. So rental yield, in the simplest terms, is the annual income you get from renting out your property, expressed as a percentage of the property's value. So um, let's say you buy a condo for 10 million Thai baht,
Mm-hmm.
and you rent it out for 50,000 baht per month, which is 600,000 baht annually. That would mean that you're looking at a 6% rental yield.
Oh, okay. So it's like a quick way to see if your investment is actually working for you. The higher the yield, the better the return.
Generally, yes, but it's not always that simple.
Right.
Because there are other things that play a role.
Of course. I mean, like you were saying, location is a huge one, right?
Absolutely. And the type of property, even who's managing it, all of those hidden costs.
Yeah. It's all part of the equation.
Okay.
Speaking of location, the article really dives into why Asoke is such a popular spot for tenants.
Absolutely. It's right in the heart of Bangkok.
Yeah.
Especially popular with expats
Mm-hmm.
and young professionals
Mhm.
because it's got that really vibrant mix of everything. Offices, shopping malls, incredible food. Like, you've got Terminal 21 right there,
Oh, yeah. That's a really cool mall.
and the food scene is just amazing.
Yeah, and I
Mm.
feel like the transportation is a huge selling point too, right? Like having the BTS and MRT intersect right there.
Oh, absolutely. You can get around the city so easily.
Yeah.
And the article actually points out how that proximity to the stations really impacts rental prices. The closer you are to all that action, the higher the rent you can command.
I mean, that makes total sense. Who wouldn't want to be right in the middle of everything?
Ah.
And, avoid that crazy Bangkok traffic.
Right.
Okay, so Esso, it's the place to be. But let's break down the different types of luxury condos you find there and like what kind of rental potential they actually have. Because the article mentions everything from compact studios to sprawling penthouses.
Yeah, they really do. There's something for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So let's dive into that a little bit.
So they said studios in prime locations can bring in between 30,000 and 50,000 baht per month,
Wow.
one-bedroom units, which are super popular with expats.
Right.
Those tend to go for 60,000 to 80,000 baht.
Mhm.
And then you've got those luxury penthouses. Those can go for upwards of 150,000 baht per month.
150,000 a month. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Especially for someone who's maybe looking to break into the Bangkok market. That sounds like a pretty good deal.
It does. But there's also a really important point that the article makes. You can't just focus on the potential income. You also have to consider the ongoing expenses,
Right.
like common area fees, property taxes, even just furnishing the unit to appeal to those high-end tenants.
Right. Got to look at the whole picture, not just those impressive rental figures.
Exactly.
And one thing that stood out to me, too, was how much emphasis they put on the fact that tenant preferences, they're constantly changing.
Oh, absolutely. They talked a lot about how the pandemic really shifted what people want in a home.
Oh, yeah.
Like remote work is a huge factor now.
Sure.
Tenants want a dedicated home office space, reliable internet.
Yeah.
They want access to fresh air, greenery. It's all about functionality and comfort now.
So you're saying those once sought-after city views from a tiny balcony, they might not be cutting it anymore.
Right. Not when you can have a spacious layout
Yeah.
that really caters to your lifestyle.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the article even says that modern amenities and sustainability, they're not just nice to haves anymore, they're absolute must-haves
Okay.
if you want to attract those tenants
Okay.
and get top-tier rents.
So it's all about staying ahead of the curve,
Yeah.
really understanding what today's luxury tenant values. Tell me a little bit more about what they're looking for. I know the article mentions some specific amenities that stand out.
Well, they really emphasize thinking beyond the standard gym and pool. They talk about co-working spaces, rooftop gardens, maybe even a pet-friendly area with a dog run.
Wow.
It's all about creating a real community within the building.
It's like the condos becoming a lifestyle destination in itself,
Yeah,
not just a place to sleep.
exactly. And they also talk about the importance of sustainability, especially for those younger generations.
Right.
They really care about energy-efficient appliances and eco-friendly features.
Yeah, for sure.
And those kinds of things can actually add value, which can then translate into higher rental income for you.
So it's about being smart and adapting to these evolving needs. But there was also this interesting part of the article where they kind of throw in a dose of reality. They talk about this concept of oversupply. I have to admit, I don't really understand how that plays into things.
Well, it's a really important concept, especially in a market like Asoke. Because if there are tons of luxury condos available,
Right.
tenants have more options,
Yeah.
which means they have more bargaining power. They can be really picky
Mm-hmm.
and choose units that offer the best value,
Okay.
and that can potentially drive rental prices down.
So even in a prime location like Asoke, too much of a good thing can create competition among landlords.
Exactly. And that's where standing out from the crowd becomes so critical.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do you do that?
Well, the article actually gets into some strategies for doing just that, like those unique amenities we talked about.
Good.
Professional property management, strategic pricing.
Oh, okay. Those are all good points.
Yeah.
Before we dive into all that, though, I'm curious about something else the article mentioned, about the impact of foreign investors in the Asoke market. Do they face any specific legal hurdles?
That's a great question.
Wow.
And honestly, it's something that anyone considering investing in Thailand should really understand. The article doesn't go into a ton of detail, but it does mention that there are specific laws that govern foreign property ownership,
Right.
like things about leasehold versus freehold ownership and restrictions on foreign ownership percentages in certain buildings.
Oh, wow. So it can get kind of complicated.
They can.
Sounds like doing your due diligence is super important.
Oh, absolutely. Like consulting with legal professionals who specialize in Thai real estate.
Mhm.
That's non-negotiable. It could save you from a lot of headaches down the line.
Right, okay. All right, so we've got the legal stuff on our radar. Now let's talk about those strategies for actually maximizing rental income. I'm really interested in the role of those modern amenities we talked about.
Well, the article makes it clear it's not just about having those amenities. It's about making sure that they're well maintained and actually appealing to your target tenant.
So like a state-of-the-art gym with broken equipment wouldn't exactly be a selling point.
Not really.
Right.
And they also suggest thinking beyond the basics, like maybe offer curated experiences, yoga classes in the garden, cooking demonstrations in a communal kitchen.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Things like that. That add a little extra luxury and a sense of community.
So it's about creating an experience, not just providing a space.
Exactly.
Okay. What about professional property management? I know the article mentioned that too. Why is that so important?
So imagine you don't live in Bangkok.
Oh,
Or maybe you're just super busy with other things. A good property manager can handle everything for you.
right.
Finding and vetting tenants, handling maintenance requests, rent collection takes a huge weight off your shoulders.
So they're basically your boots on the ground,
Right.
making sure everything runs smoothly,
Yeah.
that your investment is actually protected.
Exactly. And they know the local market.
Yeah.
They can anticipate tenant needs and even help you adjust your strategy as the market changes.
Okay. So that's a really valuable asset, amenities, property management. Check. What about setting competitive rental prices? Any advice there?
Well, the article really emphasizes the importance of finding that sweet spot between attracting tenants and maximizing your profit. Research is key. Look at what similar properties in Asoke are renting for. Consider the size, the floor level, those must-have amenities, and of course the view.
Ah, yes, the classic Bangkok condo view.
Right.
Got to have that stunning skyline. Or a tranquil park view.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those things can definitely command a premium.
There's always a balance, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to weigh the benefits of that higher rent against the potentially higher purchase costs of a unit with a premium view.
Exactly.
You have to crunch the numbers, see if it's actually worthwhile.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground in terms of maximizing rental income. But before we wrap up this part of the deep dive, there's one more thing the article touches upon that I wanted to ask about. Understanding the costs of owning a condo in Bangkok. Things like monthly condo fees, property taxes,
Exactly.
sinking fund contributions.
All of those things
They can add up
really quickly.
So it's not just about the purchase price and the rent.
Definitely not. The article actually recommends creating a detailed budget that includes all these expenses so that you can get a realistic picture of your potential return.
Right.
And as we mentioned earlier, talking to a local tax advisor is really important.
Absolutely. So many things to consider.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I think we've given our listener a pretty good foundation to start thinking about investing in Asoke's luxury condo market. But as they say, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. There's so much more to uncover.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a whole world of options in Bangkok.
Right, yeah. So let's explore that a bit more. The article compares Asoke to a couple of other popular areas, like Phrom and Siloam.
Yeah.
What did you find interesting about that comparison?
Well, it was really interesting to see that Asoke really holds its own against those established areas.
Okay.
It even outperforms them in rental yield rankings sometimes.
Oh, wow. Why is that?
Well, it's mainly because of its central location and those amazing transport links we talked about.
Right?
Those are huge draws, especially for expats.
Yeah. Just makes life so much easier.
And then there's the sheer variety of amenities within Asoke itself.
Right.
You've got malls, restaurants, international schools, hospitals.
It's like its own little city.
Exactly. It's like a self-contained community.
Yeah.
And that really appeals to people.
So it's not just about the condo itself, it's about the whole lifestyle.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's say someone's listening to this and they're seriously considering investing in Asoke. What advice would you give them based on this article?
Well, first and foremost, do your due diligence.
Okay.
Don't just jump at the first shiny condo you see.
Right.
Take your time. Research different developments, compare prices, check out the amenities, get a feel for the neighborhood.
Yeah. It's a big investment. You got to treat it like one.
Exactly.
No impulse purchases here.
No.
Okay.
The article also talks about understanding market trends, like what's driving demand, what are tenants specifically looking for, what's the competition like. You have to ask yourself all these questions.
So it's about being informed and strategic, not just emotionally driven.
Exactly.
What about choosing the right type of condo?
That's super important too.
Okay.
Like a studio might be great for a young professional or a couple,
Right.
but a family with kids, they're going to need more space. They're going to need access to family-friendly amenities.
Yeah.
You really have to align your investment with your target tenant.
So research, due diligence, understanding your audience.
Exactly.
Got it. Any other advice from the article?
Yeah, they actually talk a lot about the power of professional property management.
Oh, right, right.
We touched on that earlier.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But why is it so important, especially in a market like Bangkok?
Well, it can really make or break your investment experience,
Right. Yeah.
especially if you don't live there.
Right.
A good property manager handles everything. Finding tenants, screening tenants, dealing with maintenance issues, making sure the rent is collected on time, all of that.
Wow. So they're like your partner in all of this.
Exactly.
Helping to protect your investment.
And maximize its potential.
Okay, that's great. Speaking of maximizing potential, I was really interested in what the article had to say
Yeah.
about the impact of infrastructure developments on Asoke's future.
Right.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so Bangkok's constantly changing. It's a dynamic city, and Asoke is right at the heart of that change.
Okay.
The article highlights some major upcoming developments.
Like what?
New MRT extensions, urban rejuvenation projects.
So not just cosmetic changes,
Yeah.
but things that will really shape the area.
Exactly.
Okay.
These are things that are going to improve connectivity, enhance public spaces, create greener areas.
That all sounds really good.
And all of that makes Asoke even more desirable.
Right.
which attracts more residents and businesses.
Hmm.
And that, of course, impacts property values and rental demand.
So it's like a ripple effect.
Exactly.
Each improvement adds to the overall growth and attractiveness of the area. And that's why Asoke is considered such a prime location
Yeah.
for long-term investment.
Right.
It's not just about catching a trend. It's about investing in a neighborhood with a future.
Exactly.
Okay, so it sounds like Asoke has a lot going for it. But as with any investment, it's a journey, not a sprint.
Right.
So what final words of advice does the article offer to help guide investors on this journey?
Stay informed.
Okay.
The real estate landscape is constantly shifting, so keep your finger on the pulse. Read industry publications, follow market trends, network with other investors, and never be afraid to seek expert advice.
Okay, so it's about combining that initial due diligence with ongoing learning and adaptation.
Exactly.
Property investment is not for the passive investor.
No, it requires a strategic mindset and a willingness to stay ahead of the curve. You
Yeah.
have to be proactive.
Okay, well, this has been really insightful. And as the article says, this is just a starting point,
Exactly.
a journey for sure. But I think we've given our listeners a pretty good map to navigate it.
Yeah, I think so too.
But before we wrap things up completely, there was one last thing in the article that really stood out to me. It was about how the concept of luxury itself might change in the future and what that could mean for Asoke's condo market.
Oh, yeah, that was really interesting.
So what exactly were they getting at?
Well, think about it. What was considered top of the line 10 years ago might be totally standard today.
Right.
Luxury is always evolving.
Yeah, like a constantly moving target.
Exactly.
So you're saying that investors really need to be forward-thinking. They can't just replicate what's luxurious today. They have to anticipate those shifts in tenant expectations.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are some of those emerging trends that could redefine luxury living in Asoke?
Well, the article mentions a few things like smart home integration, hyper-personalized services, a big focus on wellness and sustainability.
Right.
It's about creating a really holistic lifestyle.
So maybe it's not just about fancy appliances and square footage anymore. It's about appealing to a new generation of tenants who might define luxury differently.
Exactly.
I mean, imagine condos with integrated health and wellness features
yeah.
or concierge services that are tailored to individual needs. Maybe even communal spaces that are specifically designed for connection and community.
That's the kind of stuff that could really command a premium in the future.
It's amazing to think about how these trends could reshape the whole Asoke skyline.
Yeah.
It could really redefine what luxury living means in Bangkok.
And for savvy investors, this presents a really unique opportunity
Awesome.
by staying ahead of the curve, anticipating those shifts in tenant preferences. They can position themselves to really profit from these changes.
So it's all about understanding that luxury is more than just a checklist of features. It's an experience, a feeling. And the investors who can create that feeling for their tenants, those are the ones who are going to succeed in this market.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Okay, well, I think that's a perfect place to leave things.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Asoke's luxury condo market. We hope you found it insightful and that it's given you some food for thought as you embark on your investment journey.
It's a fascinating market.
It really is. Until next time, happy investing.